The laws of God did not ignore economic hardship. Even if the Europeans were enduring economic hardship when they came to the Americas, which they were, then if they would have practiced the Hebrew laws as they should have, then we wouldn't be talking about the demonic history of America's founding. We wouldn't be. But we are constantly reminded because they haven't repented of their sins. Their children, their ancestors haven't repented of their sins. Some of them are regretful, but most of them are not. And again, because the law of God did not ignore economic hardship, we have to address it directly. In Israelite society, in that ancient society, land, labor, and family inheritance were the foundation of economic life. Land, labor, and family. So when someone fell into severe poverty, whether through things like famine or debt or some type of misfortune on their own, they would enter into a period of service within the constraints of another household. But the Torah put strict limits on that agreement. And guess where those limits come from? They don't come from the ancient Israelites themselves. They come from God. God put limitations on those things. He put limitations on the agreement, the contractual agreement. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 15. Deuteronomy 15 explains that a Hebrew slave could only serve 6 years. And then in the 7th year, what happened? They would be released. So not only would they be released, but the law says that the master was to send them away with provisions. What were those provisions? Those provisions would be livestock, grain, and resources so that the servant would not be in perpetual debt and that they could rebuild their life. Where was that for the chattel slaves? It never existed. The 40 acres and a mule, that never happened. Their form of repayment was that you can get a job and work here. That was our restitution. That was our gift, that you can stay here and you can work here. So again, the Hebrew system gave livestock, grain, resources so that the servant could rebuild their land or rebuild their life. And then where was that? That wasn't given to us. It was given to enslavers. Even after the Civil War, many of the slave owners of the South were given reparations. That's well documented. And I'll put this another way, because the system was not designed, the Hebrew system was not designed to trap people, to trap human beings and put them in perpetual bondage. That was not the case. The heathen nations practiced things like that. It was designed to restore economic stability. So the law goes even further in Leviticus 25. And listen to what this text says. Okay. Now, when you're reading the Bible, you have to understand these words come from God. You can't look at it as a man document. God inspired these words. So when you read it, you have to think about it in that context. If thy brother that dwelleth by thee be waxen poor, that means if another Israelite became poor and be sold unto thee, thou shalt not compel him to serve as a bond servant. So notice the language. And again, you have to keep in context. Were these Europeans practicing this? The law explicitly commands that an Israelite servant not be treated as a slave in the harsh sense, but as a hired worker. Then the text continues by explaining that the servant would serve until the year of Jubilee. Now, the Jubilee was a major economic reset that was built into the Torah. God knew in advance that human beings, his people, the Israelites, would make mistakes. And so he put provisions and saying, man, I need to put something in place because I know these people are going to do things that are going to bring them into slavery, chattel slavery, bondage, etc. So I need to put a provision there. I'm going to call it the year of Jubilee, where all debts are removed. Where is that in European nations? Where is that in any heathen nation? No nation is practicing that. I think you may have some Iran nations or Muslim nations that might be practicing something close to that, but no European nations, not even the modern European nation that we call Israel today.